All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Have something a little different for you today. Today, we're going to talk about the end of Steph Curry's sneaker free agency and where he decided to take his talents to, and where his new shoes are going to be made and who they're going to be made by. And just talk about the sneaker landscape a little bit. Talk about Steph Curry as a whole, sort of, and how impactful he has been with shoes and how like maybe not impactful he has been. But if you like what I say, like the video. If you have any opinions, comment it down below. And if you just like the vibes, consider subscribing. So let's talk about Steph Curry here. Steph Curry, what is there to say? 12-time All-Star, 11-time All-NBA, the 75th anniversary team, 2020, 2021, 2022 Western Conference Finals MVP, two-time MVP, one unanimous, two-time All-Star Game MVP, 2021-2022 Finals MVP, two-time scoring champ, four-time NBA champ. Decided, well, I guess, yeah, he decided that he was done at Under Armour. And everybody, including me, as a big Steph Curry fan, had thought he was going to spend the remainder of his career essentially with Under Armour. Some things broke down multiple times, and it was mutually sort of decided behind the scenes, but it was very abrupt to everybody on the outside that their partnership would end. And to say the Steph Curry era for Under Armour started off hot and then just cooled off immensely would be some of the most improper words for me to use, but that's basically cut and dry how it was. I remember back in 2013 when Steph Curry signed with Under Armour after coming off a pretty small Nike deal. Under Armour promised him the world, and at the time, I guess it did feel like the world. And as his star grew, and as his brand grew, and as he won more, and as his story progressed, Under Armour sort of underperformed as a brand. I mean, if we get into the nitty gritty, he was with Under Armour for, I'd say, about, what would that have been? Like 2018, 2019, into like post 2020 era. He was with just Under Armour. He was just an Under Armour athlete. And then around 6 years ago, maybe a little bit before that, he got his own brand under Under Armour. It was the Curry brand. And it was interesting because it wasn't just basketball shoes. It was supposed to be golf shoes. It was supposed to be like leisure shoes as well. And some of that stuff came, some of it didn't. And it all became sort of melancholy, you know? For as great as Steph Curry is, his shoes never really, after a certain point, they never really like popped off the page. Especially when you look at some of the newer athletes that came into basketball and the way they move shoes, you know. I've always heard, in my time watching the sneaker world and everything, uh, big players, centers, power forwards don't sell shoes. They just don't. It's guards, it's wings, it's small forwards. They sell shoes. Steph Curry being a guard, you would think he would sell a lot of shoes. Some of the designs of the shoes were underwhelming for Steph Curry. Um, some of the performance of the shoes, like him wearing them, he just didn't like them, and he would favor more some of the older shoes that he wore versus like the newer ones that they were just putting out. And I believe the Steph Curry and just the Curry shoe as a whole made it to 13 iterations, with some like little ones in between, but a full 13 iterations of the shoe. I could maybe in my mind think of like seven or eight of them, and two of those are bad, and the other ones that are just not memorable enough for me to remember. Um, and he's had some iconic ones. Obviously, they're the purple ones that he won the 2021-22 finals in. Um, there were some really good ones in there. And there's some really horrendous ones that look like boat shoes, and those are the ones that he gets clowned on a lot for. And then as we move into this era where Steph Curry had his own shoes and had his own brand, he brought some athletes in, some other basketball players in to help and promote the brand, move the brand forward. One that's notable, and especially right now, is De'Aaron Fox, who's currently playing in the finals. He had his own like signature shoe under the Curry brand. It was his De'Aaron Fox shoe, and it was okay. There were some other smaller players on the Curry brand as well. But the biggest nail in the coffin for this relationship between Steph Curry and Under Armour was apparently through the grapevine. This has been said. Um, Steph Curry wanted Under Armour to sign some WNBA players, try to get WNBA players to wear his shoes or be at least underneath his brand, be with his brand. Notable names include like, I think even at the time, it wasn't even a thing at the time, but I'm almost positive. This one's not confirmed, but he was Steph Curry's a big fan of Sabrina Ionescu. Sabrina Ionescu, Bay Area native, WNBA player, starting point guard for the New York Liberty. He probably wanted her, and the two that were confirmed that he really wanted that actually made him upset that they couldn't get was Caitlin Clark, which is a big one. I remember her sneaker free agency a little bit, and then Az Fudd, the number one pick. Um, all three of those WNBA players I mentioned were number one picks, and Steph Curry wanted them on the brand. He wanted them, in his shoes, and Under Armour just couldn't figure out the money. They were always lowballing these women, always not giving them what they want, and Under Armour has its limitations with the money they can offer and all the things they have, but you could offer more stuff. You can have your own signature shoe within the first year, 2 years. There are little things that you can add, little sweeteners to the contract that you can add to maybe try to sway somebody away from an Adidas, a Nike, an Adidas and a Nike, the two juggernauts. And Under Armour just couldn't do it, and they were kind of in limbo with the Curry brand and the athletes that were already on it, the NBA players that were already on it, and they couldn't do anything. And to my knowledge, it upset Steph that they couldn't get any more players. They couldn't get any WNBA players, any high notable ones at least, to be on the brand. And the relationship started to break down. And some of the last Curry shoe, the 13, Steph Curry never wore. He started his sneaker free agency this year, just running around in different shoes, which we'll get to in a minute here. Um, and those shoes were awful. They were god awful. I forget what movie they were supposed to promote. I think it was like Inside Out or something, or whatever, some sort of kid friendly movie. Oh, no, it was this movie Goat, right? Was that the movie he was in, or he like was the producer and everything, and he starred in a little bit. And those shoes were god awful. They were awful. I saw them and I was like, these aren't Steph Curry shoes. These are fake. These are AI. No, they were real, and they were just as awful. And as a Steph Curry fan, I'm so happy you never wore them things, because they were ugly. Those are not the ones in front of you. The ones on the right, those aren't it. I promise you. We'll get to those in a second. But Steph Curry, after the sneaker free agency this season, he played in a bunch of different shoes. Um, Steph Curry has decided. Let me pull it up here for you guys. Steph Curry has decided to sign a massive 10-year shoe endorsement deal, shoe endorsement contract with Chinese company Li Ning on Monday, according to ESPN's Shams Charania. Curry's deal will include basketball products, athleisure wear, full golf line, and the ability for him to sign other athletes under his Curry brand in the future, or whatever his brand will be renamed in the future. The deal is worth $400 million. He at least had one other offer that was more lucrative, but he opted to go with Li Ning instead. Li Ning also notably has Dwayne Wade. He was with them at the end of his career, at the very, very end, and then he obviously became like sort of like an ambassador in his retirement. Steph Curry's current teammate, Jimmy Butler, is also with Li Ning. This feels like a heist almost. Like, this doesn't feel like Steph Curry should be, no offense, on a Chinese brand, But when you go down the rabbit hole, you see the way Nike treated him. He didn't want to go back to Nike. I was a big proponent of him maybe going to Adidas. I think Adidas has some really nice shoes now. They're really putting out some good stuff. You look at these other companies. I mean, we're going to get to some other companies here in a minute, but all roads might have led to sort of an outside company, so to speak, whether it had been Anta, that Klay Thompson and Kyrie Irving are with, whether it's been another shoe company. Um, the big companies will say this: the big companies, Nike and Adidas, can't keep their athletes happy, and this has been documented. Or the athlete can't move shoes, so the brand gets rid of them. It becomes very hard for these bigger brands to keep these athletes because like sometimes the shoes just don't go well, or um, the player just hasn't played well, and they sign them on that rookie deal when they first get in the league, and then after the first 4 years, they're like, yeah, no, this isn't going to work out. So it just doesn't happen. They don't continue the partnership. In this case, Steph Curry been with 3 brands now. I believe that's probably a first for like somebody like as great as Steph being with 3 brands. I mean, you look at LeBron James, you look at Kevin Durant, they have lifetime Nike deals. Like it's a crazy amount of years. It's basically a lifetime. And you look at some of these other younger athletes, Devin Booker, Anthony Edwards, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Shai's another one. He's with Converse. He's not with one of the big names. He's with one of the medium-sized companies. Converse is owned by Nike, if you didn't know that, but like it's still its own thing. Um, you also have Puma, who has some WNBA players, has some as LaMelo Ball. Um, you look at a lot of these bigger brands, and they're not getting these athletes, like they used to. Um, let's go down the rabbit hole a little bit here and talk about. I already told you about the deal, the huge deal that he signed. Um, let's talk about. Let me make sure I got everything, my ducks in a row here. Okay, let's talk. Yeah, let's talk about Steph Curry here and his sneaker free agency, broken down by the numbers. This is from Soul Retriever. I'll leave a link down below if you want to check out this article for yourself. It's a very interesting article. I just found it before I wanted to record this video, and it has some really great numbers and charts here. I don't know I gotta look these shoes up. Let me see, so I know what these look like. Um, I'm gonna go through Steph Curry's sneaker free agency here and talk about um, the shoes that he wore during his sneaker free agency. Um, let's see here. Steph Curry, most played in sneaker, Steph Curry sneaker free agency period. We have the Series 7, which is still an Under Armour shoe. He wore those a little bit. He wore the Way of Wade 12s. I think those are pretty okay. The Sabrina 3s. I love the Sabrina Ionescu shoes. The Kyrie 3s. Those are Antas. I like those too. They're a little wacky for me, but I understand why people like them. A couple of Kobe's here. The 6, the 4s, the 9s. I like all the Kobe's, essentially. The JB3s. That has to be Jaylen Brown's shoe, right? That has to be. I don't. Yeah, that has to be a Jaylen Brown shoe. Yeah. He wore a Jaylen Brown shoe. Jaylen Brown like has his own like factory and everything that he makes his shoes in. The Devin Booker one. These are all in descending order, by the way, from most to least. The Booker one, and these are all tied. Like he wore them once. The Booker one, Devin Booker shoe. The Anthony Edwards two. The JB4, the Jaylen Brown 4, the Halliburton ones. I like the Halliburtons. They're a little wacky, but I like them. The Sabrina 2s, the Klay Thompson 11s, the SV Escalation Type 2. I don't even know what that is. And the Crazy Energy. Those were all one. And then the Series 7, I mean, he was a free agent, but he was still wearing Under Armour. 5 games, and he wore the Way of Wades for 4, Sabrina's for 4, the Kyrie's for 4, and all the Kobe's for 3, and then a spare Kobe 2 games and a JB3 for 2 games. It's very interesting. You look at this list here, right? And there aren't a lot of how do you say it? Li Nings. There aren't a lot of Li Nings. I mean, the Way of Wades were an indication, but that was only for 4 games. I wouldn't have guessed that. The most played in brand for Steph, however, was Nike at 42%, Anta at 18%, his own shoe at 15%, the Way of Wade 12%, the Li Ning just by itself 9%, the Adidas 6%, and the Puma 3%. I'll say this: I could never see Steph Curry in like a Puma shoe or like a Reebok. Like to me, no offense, like those shoes are just like in a lower echelon to all the rest of the shoes. Even the Chinese companies. I feel like the Chinese companies at least do stuff out of the box. And by out of the box, I mean just like a different silhouette. You know, I feel like Pumas, like the regular Pumas, are just the Lamellos just aren't for me. I'm not that demographic, and yeah, it's just and the Antas they're even Anta's a little bit better than Puma at this point. Um, if I go look at some of these other um, graphs they have here, I won't read all the graphs because that's stealing all their content. I don't want to do that. Steph Curry performance by brand, points per game. I think this might have played a part in it as well. Steph Curry played very well in the Ling Nings. He averaged 30 points when he wore them. He averaged 26 when he wore the Currys, 25 when he wore the Nikes, 25 when he wore the Adidas, 21 when he wore the Antas, and 21 the way of Wade. So yeah, he played very well in the Ling Nings, and I think that played a big part in why he obviously the deal was nice, but um, played a big part in why he probably wanted to go there because Steph Curry is a very superstitious person from my knowledge, and if something feels good and you play good in them, you want to wear them all the time. Just some other things I want to hit here. The initial reaction to this deal was like he should have gotten more. Listen, Steph Curry's only gonna play for like I'm sorry to say this, and it breaks my heart as well as a Steph Curry fan. Steph's gonna play for like 2, 3 more years. That's it, maybe 4, and that's it. Maybe he'll make it to the next Olympics. Maybe. After that, you only getting him wearing the shoe, on the court for the amount of years. You're gonna have, like we said, the golf line, the athleisure wear. I don't know how well that's gonna move. I'm not a golf. I'll watch golf, but I'm not a golf guy. I don't know like what brands corner the market in golf, so I don't know how hard it is to break into that and get people to wear your shoe. And I don't know what you look for in a golf shoe personally. Obviously, you're looking for comfort because you're walking the course, but I don't know if there's other stuff that goes into it, so I don't know how well that's gonna sell. The athleisure wear, I'm gonna be honest. I'm not a fashion guy. I like to dress well, but I'm not like a fashion guy. I don't know if athleisure wear is in anymore. Like I don't know if like a sweatpants athleisure still, or that's just what everybody wears. Like I don't consider sweats athleisure. I think I'm gonna have to see some of the mock-ups. I'm gonna have to see what they have in store when you talk about athleisure wear. Because if it's basic, people will buy basic stuff. People buy a blank Nike hoodie with the check, and that's it. That's all they want. Are people gonna buy a Steph Curry blank shirt with just the logo? I don't know. I mean, I would consider it, but like it would have to be nice quality. It would have to look good. It would have to be embroidered and not printed on. Like there are all these little caveats, especially somebody like me, who I have worked in apparel, but like the normal person doesn't think like that. So who knows? It's gonna be very interesting to see what happens, and it's gonna be interesting to see what this next. I mean, was it gonna be 2036? It will be the end of this deal technically. That feels like a long time, but it really isn't. If things go belly up, I, is he still with this brand in 2036? I don't know. Um, talk about some other shoes here for a little bit, um, because I think seeing the competition that Steph Curry is going to have to deal with is going to be fun as well. This is from Hype Beast, an A to Z list of active NBA and WNBA players with signature shoes. So, for those who don't know, being with a brand doesn't mean you have a signature shoe. You can have your own player exclusive, a PE, or you can just wear whatever the brand tells you to wear, the latest version of their shoe, if you're comfortable wearing it, obviously. They would like you to wear it for like a game or 2 or 3, throughout the season just to promote the shoe, so they can get pictures and stuff and put you on the billboard and everything. Um, or you have your own signature shoe, which is your shoe, your name, whatever we'll use Jason Tatum for example, the JT1, the JT2. Other players can wear those shoes. You don't have to ask permission. You used to have to ask permission back in the day. You can wear whatever shoe you want if you're a free agent. Um, so yeah, that's that explained. So just being with the brand doesn't mean you have a signature shoe. This list is people who actually have a shoe with the brand. And this is very recent. So let's go through a couple of these, see what Steph Curry has to match up with. We'll skip that one. Asia Wilson, the Nike A2. I like the Asia Wilson shoes. They're very nice. Um, I don't think people that are gonna buy Steph Curry's are gonna buy. Maybe they will Asia Wilsons. I feel like that's different demographics and stuff, but still the same shoe. it's on the same um, line. I would say, just like humbly, just as a starting point, Steph Curry is gonna have to deal with Andrew Wiggins' peak AW. I didn't know Andrew Wiggins had his own signature shoe, but he does with peak. Good for him. The Angel Reese Reebok ones. I don't think Steph Curry is gonna have to deal with Angel Reese in the market. Now here's somebody, Anthony Edwards, the Anthony Edwards 2. And just Anthony Edwards shoe as a whole. I actually have the Anthony Edwards, and I've worn them, and I've played basketball in them. They're very comfortable. They're a little heavy, but they're comfortable for sure. I only have the AE ones. I don't have the AE twos, but I do like his shoes. And I feel like maybe that's definitely somebody Steph Curry's gonna have to compete against. But I feel like Steph Curry shoes might they're gonna have to appeal to the kids, but Anthony Edwards really does appeal to the kids, so that might be some tough competition. The Austin Reeves Rigors. I know Austin Reeves. I think I knew Austin Reeves had his own shoe, but these are kind of fire. These off-brand, I would say like these alternate brands like Rieger, like Peak, Anta, Li Ning. These are all like in the same tier of shoe, and they're fighting each other a little bit. And then we get to like the Adidas and everything like that. Um, the Breonna Stewart Pumas. I These shoes are so disgusting to me. I don't think they're gonna be in competition. Damian Lillard, the Dames. I like the Dames. The Dames. Adidas is doing such great stuff with their shoe. Um, Now here's an interesting one. De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox still has his, I guess, deal with Under Armour, but like, would he go to Li Ning to team up with Steph Curry again? I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? Um, Devin Booker, obviously. I feel like Devin Booker is like, I won't say the lowest tier of Nike, but like he's one of the newer Nike shoes. So like Steph could be fighting with him for people wanting to buy the Devin Bookers or the new Steph Currys. I feel like that's an appropriate comparison. The Donovan Mitchell, Don, sevens, just the Donovan Mitchell shoes. I've never been a big fan of these Donovan Mitchell shoes. They always feel like off brand Damian Lillard's to me, but they look okay. The Giannis's. Now, this is a shoe. Great player, Giannis. Phenomenal player. All time franchise player for the Bucks. He doesn't sell shoes like that, and he is on his 8th shoe. So like this is what I'm talking about when like bigs don't sell shoes. Would I buy these if I was in a store? Maybe. Do I care that it's Giannis's shoe? Not really. I mean, it looks okay. There's been some better versions of this shoe, but um, yeah, I wouldn't go out of my way to get those. The Ja threes, the Ja Morants are very popular amongst NBA and WNBA players. This If Ja can get back on the court and actually play basketball, he's gonna be one of the most successful shoe sellers. Like move the moving of shoes just in general, for a very long time. Um, James Harden has had some very successful shoes, not so much recently, but in the past, some very successful shoes. The Jalen Browns. I don't know how popular these are. I don't even know how limited these shoes are because they're not produced by a major brand. The Jason Tatum's. Here's the thing. Jason Tatum's with Jordan Brand. Jordan Brand puts out some god awful shoes now. Just god awful. And I feel like if Steph Curry can move, I'm not saying now, but in a couple years, if Steph Curry can move shoes and he can get other people to move shoes with him, like sell shoes, I'm not saying they're going to challenge Jordan Brand in popularity, but maybe just people wearing them, maybe they could get there. Obviously, Jason Tatum signed a deal with them, so Jason Tatum's not moving, but yeah. Jimmy Butler, Li Ning, on the same brand now as Steph Curry. Oh, that's right. Skechers makes basketball shoes. That's right. Joel Embiid wears Skechers. This is a brand that Li Ning should really be watching and in competition with, I think. Um, Juju Watkins, college phenom, a shoe with under LeBron's name, but sort of a pseudo signature shoe. Another sort of in competition with these new Steph Curry shoes. New Balance, I forgot about New Balance as well. Kawhi, this is another shoe that Steph Curry could be fighting with for sales numbers. Obviously, KD with Nike, Klay Thompson with Anta. These Klay Thompsons are just awful. They look great on Klay, but they look horrible on anybody else. They're big and they're clunky and they're ugly. The Kyries are big and clunky, but at least they look fire. They look good. They have some good designs on them. Melo Ball's Pumas. Obviously, LeBron James Nike stuff. LeBron's starting to play golf too. I'm interested to see if LeBron James is going to break into the golf game with some shoes. Be very interesting to see if he does that. I wonder what the pipeline from basketball shoe to golf shoe is going to be in the next couple of years with all these sort of older players retiring that they still want to produce shoes, but obviously can't be basketball shoes. I mean, it could be, but like they probably want to move into something they can actually wear every day, and it will probably be golf shoes. So it'll be interesting to see what that pipeline is. Um, Luka Doncic with Jordan Brand, and then we'll start breezing through these a little bit. The Sabrinas with Nike. I think Sabrinas are gonna out. This is gonna sound crazy. They're gonna outsell the Steph Curry shoe. I really do think that. We'll skip some over some of these. The Shea Gilgeous-Alexanders. I mean, Shea and Steph could be battling for shoe sales. I like that idea. Um, Tyrese Halliburton and Puma. I think that's another one they could be fighting with. And that's the end of the list. Yeah. See, I just want to hop on here talk about this. Whenever I get a chance to talk about my favorite player, I always take the opportunity to. Um, Here's a question for the end of the video. Will I be buying these new Steph Curry Li Nings? This is sort of a taste of what they look like in the bottom right corner there. Or what they could potentially look like. I don't know. I'm gonna have to see them. Like I said, with the shirt with the Curry logo, would I buy that baby? I don't know. I think I might just for the historic value of it, because like who knows how long he's gonna be playing basketball for. Um, I don't golf, so I'm not gonna buy golf shoes, but we'll see. We'll see. An interesting time for sure. Shoes are in such a weird place right now to me. There's some really great ones and some really bad ones. I guess it's always been like that, but I feel like shoes are now more about the player than ever. People don't care how they look. People don't care what they look like. They just want like a shoe that represents like the player, and they want people to know the player wears them. So they have to be recognizable as well. So it'll be very interesting to see how Steph Curry goes about selling these shoes and wearing these shoes, and if they move or if they sell well, at any rate. So yeah, that's it. That's the video. The end screen should be playing right now. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Check out the next video on the left. Check out the playlist on the right. And if you click my icon right in the middle of the screen, a little subscribe will pop up, and you can subscribe with ease. Like and comment as well, and I will see you guys next time. Cheers.